Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the beautiful world, and welcome. We're at Vladdy's Author Show, and we have an amazing Georgia Clare here to talk about her fantastic book, which was actually published in December. So it's quite new, and it's called The Synergy Game. Love the whole concept of what she's going to talk about and the book because as we are living in a beautiful life and a world, we go through challenges. And we always encourage you to think about challenges as opportunities to grow. But reading Georgia's story, it just helps so many of us to say, we just never give up, never give up. You know what, no matter what happened, and where do you find the strength, and how can you shift your focus because she did, and she will obviously share more. But Georgia is an author and photographer. She lives in the southwest France, and she's a writer. And welcome, Georgia. We're absolutely pleased to have you here.
Thank you, Vladdy. I'm honored that I'm able to do this with you today. It's lovely.
Your story is so beautiful. So I'm gonna start with what's your intention for your beautiful book, and just tell us more about how you got into making a decision. Oh yeah, please hold it. Mine haven't
Yes.
arrived. So that's the
No.
book, The Synergy
Yeah.
Game.
Synergy game. My intention for the book actually is to help people. Because I realized after I'd gone through pretty much the worst year of my life that I'd managed to rebuild my life. And I'd used a lot of things all together. When my marriage broke up, I realized that I needed to pull out all the stops. I needed to use absolutely everything that I knew, or I wouldn't survive it. I wouldn't get through it. And then after the year, and I was starting to move out of survival mode and into life mode, living again, I realized that I'd put all of these things together. And in a year, my life had completely changed. And I had this thought, and I thought, well, if I can do it, anybody can. I'm not special or privileged in any way. I'm just an ordinary person. So anybody, I could write a book about it. I could teach people how to rebuild their life like I've done. Instead of when you go through a challenge, whether it's a loss or a loss of anything, a job, a house, a marriage partner, a child, anything. Sometimes I've noticed that people let that define the rest of their lives and stop them from living a full life, really. So I thought, and I knew I didn't want that to happen to me. So I thought, well, maybe I can write about my experiences and it can help other people.
That's usually how true authenticity helps because we experience
Mm.
things, and also being a feel okay to be vulnerable and actually share, because usually there's so many of us who things happen, things does happen. It's how we respond or react to them, which in your situation you really took control and responsibility for healing, because really that, would you actually say that writing the book helped you as well?
Yes, it did. It really did. I mean, there were a lot of tears when I was writing the book, because it went right back to my childhood. Because there's three main traumas that I've been through that I talk about in the book. But the book isn't about that. It's not about me moaning about my parents or saying how awful my ex-husband is or any organization I was a part of. It's not about that. I do obviously mention these things, but mostly to show how I overcame them. So yes, and even, I mean, many edits of the book, and every time I would read it, for a long time I would cry
Mm.
because it was so personal. But yes, then I realized, wow, it's really helped me as well to get it out there. And to be honest, the biggest way that it's helped me, I've only realized after it's been published. And that's when people have come back to me and said, wow. In fact, the latest one is a lady that next time I'm in the UK, we're going to have coffee together. And she read my book and she said, this is the book I never knew I needed to read.
Mm.
And she said it's completely changed everything. And I thought, wow, that's exactly the reason I wrote the book. And so that in itself has helped me hugely just to know that feeling that I can use my experiences, which at the time weren't so great, to help other people.
I love when you're talking because at the beginning of the interview, you said, I realized that I'm no one special. Yes, you are.
Oh, thank
I
you.
wanted to point because every single person is so special, but we
True.
just don't step into the power. And I've seen
Mm.
it so many times where we sometimes hesitate. And really, I want to ask you actually the question I like asking authors about, did you actually feel that, oh, what are other people going to think about me if I write it? Or was there part of the book where you felt like, I'm not sure I should share this part of the story?
Yes, actually, there's a couple of examples of that. And the first one, I think I was so intent on writing it because I've been a writer and a reader pretty much all my life. I mean, I used to write stories when I was a kid, and it's been my dream to be a published writer. But it sort of it took over, and then the morning that it was being published. I woke up and I thought, oh, what have I done? What have I done? Everybody's going to know the deepest parts of me. And I thought, oh, well, it's too late now. And then a couple of days later, my best friend messaged me and she said, oh, your book's arrived. I'm it started it. It's really good. And then it really hit me because I thought, oh no, all my friends, like locally, they're going to know all these things about me. And it's sort of like, ooh, what do I do? And I thought, oh, well, I guess this is part of it. So yes, there was definitely that
How did you
involved.
feel when you, sorry to jump in sooner, how did you feel when you held your book first time? Like when the baby arrives and it's actually
Oh,
in a physical
yes.
form and you're
I,
holding
I
it.
think I think I cried because it
Mm.
was before it was published because I ordered proof copies and
Mhm.
stuff. Um, but it was, yeah, I just looked at it and my name on there and the cover that I'd chosen and I just thought, wow, it's really happened. I was proud. I was proud of
Mm.
myself for doing it.
I love it.
Yeah, loved it.
I love it. And I know Oprah Winfrey say, and it's my favorite sentence to use on interviews. She said there isn't story that is being told that somebody else has not experienced. I mean,
Ah,
that sentence has such a profound impact on me, and I've been using this to ask authors because the truth is your story
yes.
is going to relate. So many people are going to relate to your story and then
Yes.
they learn. So that will probably be tell us more about what is the benefit people will get. Obviously, they will read the story and you can give us as much as you like from the beautiful book. But as you mentioned, like you're actually mentioning the challenges or the stuff that happened,
Mhm.
but you're really focusing on the journey, on how you dealt
Yes.
with it. What was the steps you took to actually that helped you to heal and really be
Mm.
who you are now because like it took a shift, a huge shift. But what's
Oh,
the
massive.
benefit in people? What would you say to readers like this is what you're getting really in a nutshell?
Well, I think it's one of the main reasons I wrote the book is I also realized that when I was going through some dark periods, it was often other people's words that gave me comfort. Whether it was a poem from years ago, or a quote, or a book, or an article, or whatever it was, but it made me feel that I wasn't alone. So
Mm.
I would read something and I'd think, oh, they they've been through that too. Oh, they understand. And it was such a wonderful feeling knowing that there was somebody else out there that understood, even though maybe I never meet them, but they understood what I was going through at that time. And I've realized that since I've written the book and through my blog as well, people will say that to me. Thank you for writing this. I feel less alone. And I think that that's what we need. When we're going through a challenge, we need to know that there's someone else that can, I think the expression is hold space for us
Yeah.
and to just be there. And even if it's just words in a book, it makes a massive impact. But it's also the other benefit, I think, that people will get from the book is it's sort of like, I guess it's a method that I've put together of of change.
Mhm.
So it's not difficult though. It's not expensive. It's not exclusive. It's not like some exclusive club that you need to be a part of. It does take two things though, and that's the will to do it and the
Mhm.
desire to make change. And so when I was thinking about writing the book, I wrote down everything that had helped me in that year, everything that helped me make a shift from being somebody who, to be honest, had to find reasons to live. I felt that low. I couldn't bear to think about the future. To going at the end of that year, but waking up happy in the morning, excited about what the future would bring, and just feeling like my life had a purpose again. And so I wrote all these things, and it's things like writing, journaling, meditation, yoga, good nutrition, music and dance and being out in nature. And each chapter is one of these things, making sure that the environment you're surrounded by is conducive to the healing with lots of positive reminders. I mean, I could see behind you, you've got some. My house is like that too. It's got like quotes and all sorts everywhere. And I also ordered mugs with quotes on and things. And it's just these constant reminders that we need to just feeling down and oh yeah, you have a reminder. Gratitude. There's a whole chapter on gratitude because that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Learning how to practice gratitude. And you can say, well, I'm grateful. No, it's a practice. It's something you actively have to do, not just daily, multiple times a day, constantly. And you learn how to do it and it becomes who you are.
Oh, I
Forgiveness.
love.
There's another chapter on forgiveness, which is another game changer. It's just
Mhm.
fabulous when you realize how powerful these tools are all put together. So anybody who's going through something, it's just an easy way to a lot of the practices I talk about, they don't take hours out of your day or they're not expensive. They just take a bit of determination to think, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And you see gradually see the change.
I love everything you said, and mainly that you actually pointing out you did the things. Because there's
Everything.
so
Yeah.
many times we read, we have, and I talk lovingly about people because I look at the shelves behind me, but I say to people because I remember getting into personal development, everything my mentor would say I would order, and it becomes a shelf help.
Yes.
Unless and until we actually use the knowledge. I was giving this example to clients of mine. I said, you can imagine you have a new office and you order a new shelves and your desk and, like cupboard and you get it all done. It comes with instructions, right? So you have the instructions, you can read them
Mm.
and you know how to build it. But unless you take an action and actually build it, it will still stay in the boxes. You knowing and understanding the instructions, how it has to build, does not mean you're doing it. And there's so many, I call it this
Mhm.
knowing, doing gap. How many times we know what we need to do, and we're not doing it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And I love you actually brought up a gratitude because that is a one practice that every
Yeah.
single person in this planet uses, and they will shift their vibration and change massively. But there are,
Yes.
thank you for pointing it out, there are levels of gratitude, and they each have a different vibrational frequency. And there
Mhm.
is a gratitude which is conditioned because somebody does something for us, and
Mhm.
we in return feel grateful, which is great. We should. But
Mhm.
I'm just saying the difference is when you have this unconditional gratitude for life, which is the generative, the one that you wake up and say, thank you for life breathing in me. I
Yes.
woken up and so many people didn't. So I
Mm.
get to live yet another amazing day. But we usually don't space ourselves in this present moment to think, "Oh, I've got this day. We have
Yeah.
this a week and a month and a year plans, and which is great to do. I'm not saying don't do those, but have the plan, but really give everything to present. Because listening to Georgia, I really know that like forgiveness was really great when like 6 years ago, I went through a forgiveness course and I thought like, I really misunderstood what forgiveness is,
Oh,
really,
me
because for
too.
all those
Mm.
childhood things, I thought when you forgive, it's almost like, okay, tick, like I forgave them, but it's not. It's about what happens inside you. It's got
Mm.
nothing to do with the other person. Whether you forgive them or
Exactly.
not, it really
Mm.
doesn't have happen in your growth, but what happens inside you and how you really forgive. Because we all talk about how we forgive, but the real forgiveness comes to the situations you're talking about. Like when we find ourselves what we call as I hit the bottom,
Yeah.
and also the togetherness. I love, and I'd like you to even like how did writing, you already mentioned writing the book helped you, but really what I love is sometimes people get inspired not just by the content and the stories, but actually they take action and start writing books
Yeah.
themselves. And that's the process there, because really this is exactly what happened to me 6.5 years ago. And that's how I transformed. I actually written my book. And it's the process of
Mm.
writing it and the realization that, well, if this is what happened to me and how I grew, how can it help other people? It's the best
Yeah.
place to be.
Yes, definitely. And I think people, I did actually until I actively did it. I underestimated the value of writing because there's different forms of writing. And I tell you in my book of what I did, but I also explain how I did it. So there's something that was taught to me quite a few years ago, and my teacher called it burn and release. And it's to do with forgiveness and coming to terms with things. So you write a letter, it's a process. So you're writing a letter to somebody or a situation that you can't get past. And through the process that I explain in the book, you end up being able to let go of it. And so it's practical things like that, like you say, not just reading the book and thinking, oh, that was so good. That book was amazing. Oh, it's just what I need. I'm putting it
Back
on
to
the
the shelf.
shelf and then a week later you're miserable again. But
Mm,
actually looking at a book like this, like any of the other books that you might have read similar, and thinking, okay, what can I get from this book? What can I do? Do an action. What can I do right now, today, right now, to just start? Because it doesn't have
mm,
to be a big thing. It's just to start, just to make that little thing, whatever resonates most with you. It could be meditation, it could be writing, it could be the type of music you listen to, it could be improving your diet, it could be so many
mm.
different things, but whatever resonates, do it something little. just to make a start.
It's such an important point because people, baby steps can take you all the way to Mount Everest. It's my favorite quote.
That's brilliant. That's really
Because the
good.
truth is, we we
Yes.
we all should have a big vision.
Yeah.
But then people just live in that vision instead of really paying attention to the present moment and enjoying the journey. And
Yeah.
as you said, it's more important to do something this week every day and sit down and do it than
Yeah.
just read it. I have to say, we were talking with Georgia before the interview, and I was in Paris last weekend for 3 days, and we visited Louvre, and I love it. It was just the
Mhm.
most magical place. I think it's my number one. It's like top energy place for me. But when we reached the part where Mona Lisa is displayed, and there were so many people, so you had to
Oh,
wait in a
yeah.
queue to get to her. I thought, like, I'll take a picture. The hands with the photos was like a land, a sea of mobile phones everywhere recording. And we were talking with my sister. We were like, people are not present. They don't stop and admire the art. They don't pause and see something. Everybody was just looking at the screen. It's
Yeah.
almost like a division between the real thing and yourself. And
Yes.
so taking videos, well, I did some. So I'm gonna put my hand up. I'm not saying that I didn't take any pictures or videos, but we did it at the beginning, and we said my sister, like, put it away and let's just read about it and focus because the energy you feel, the realness of the whole journey is
Yes.
not that. And that
Yeah.
reminded me how disconnected we as a humans are. We're rushing through everything, and it's the studies, and the reason I'm mentioning it here because it's the point you've made about the book. Like, read the book, read about what Georgia's saying, or any other book you're reading, and you pause and say, "Oh, this really stood out for me." And she just pointed it out. If it stands out for you, that's what you need to work on. Because we
Mm.
all have the intuition that is really leading us to where we need to go. And that's the next right step for us. And really just pausing, and forgiveness is forgiveness, and the practice about the letter. In fact, I'm going to have a look at that. That is really brilliant. I haven't heard that. I've done
Ah,
forgiveness with a different kind of way as well, and even writing letter to yourself, seeing
mm.
yourself through God's eyes, which God only say, oh, if you don't believe in God, the higher power, or like
Yeah.
to see you as a pure love.
Yeah.
And I found it really difficult at the beginning to actually describe myself as the most amazing person. I have no problem describing others. As we all
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
it comes
Yes.
down to us and the self-love.
Mm.
And talking about your book, you actually have you mentioned that you actually developed the system. Is the system called Synergy? Did I get that right?
It's called this. I called it the synergy game because life is a game.
Mm.
And I realized I've always loved the word synergy actually, but I realized that it's great. Meditation is great, can help you. Yoga is great, it can help you. Writing is great. All these practices are good on their own, but putting them all together is so powerful. I realized just how powerful because it took me just that 1 year. I dedicated that year to myself, my healing, and studying myself and what I needed. And I realized, wow, putting this all together has it sort of accelerated where I wanted to be. Instead of it taking years and me feeling a little bit better and a little bit better year by year, it happened a lot
Yeah.
quicker. And so that's yeah, it is the synergy game. I'm
You know,
actually my next project is to create a course that
mhm.
will teach all aspects of this. So
Do
I'm
you know
just
what? I
started
would
that.
present your book this way because I use this in a coaching. I say to people, imagine your life is like success. The success we would love
Hmm.
to create, and I'm talking about every quadrant of your life, not just one.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
balance
Yeah.
of all quadrants. But having a coat, imagine yourself to be a lock. And if you have a coat and then you have all the codes, you can unlock this, right? Really easily. If you
Yeah,
have just one lock missing, and think of this, you can be 9 out of 10, it's still not going to open the lock because you
that's
need
good.
10
Mm,
numbers to unlock yourself. And if
yeah,
you're not cracking, so when she's talking about this brilliant system she created that gives you all the parts, it's a combination lock that you enter all the codes you've learned, and bam, what happens is a beautiful awareness and understanding and awakening.
yeah, it is. And it's not just the fact that, and like you say, it is every aspect of your life. And doing this has opened for me doors and opportunities, and to be honest, a life that I only dreamed of, that
Mhm.
I wasn't, and things that I didn't dream of. It's better than that, the way my life is now, and feeling that I've got a real purpose in life is just the most wonderful feeling that
It gives
that
you
I
a
can.
next step, as well
Yeah,
as you mentioned your program. You can help people because
yeah,
then if we went through something, then we obviously become experts, really, because
yeah,
when we can push ourselves through something, that's when we
yes,
can help with someone else. It's really walking the talk, isn't it? Giving
yeah,
someone advice on children. If you don't have your child, you can be the
exactly, yeah.
most studious person in the world. You really don't understand. And like
No,
I
and
no
nobody's going to
disrespect to
believe
people,
you.
but it truly
No, they're going
is.
to be thinking, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly it. I
Yeah.
feel like I have the authority to
Yes.
speak on this because I don't just, it's not just a theory. I've actually done it. I've lived through child abuse. I've lived through being part of a cult religion, and I've lived through the breakup of my 34-year marriage. So,
A
and I've
long
come through
time.
it. It is. And I've come through it and I've rebuilt my life completely. So, yeah, believe me
I
when I say
vouch
it can
that
be
because,
done.
it shows such a true inspiration as well. Because people are going through so many things, but
Yeah.
we, as you said, sometimes feel alone. And also
Yeah.
sometimes that not everybody is really happy to share it with your surroundings. So it feels
Yes,
almost
true.
that you get closer with, I mean, it may sound strange, but with a stranger who
It can
went through
happen.
things and
Yeah.
understand, and people get so
Yeah.
much closer and compassion and understanding. And it's also easier to open up to people sometimes online. It really is. Like
Yeah.
you help so many people online, and with your program coming up as well, it's it brings the community who understand each other, who knows.
That's
It's like if
true.
you have a sports
Yes.
community, they driven athletes, of course they have a different kind of energy and they need different kind of
Mm.
focus. So it's really important to place yourself in the right community as well, not just jump
Yeah.
from one to another, because that is also a deviation of energy. So it's really, are you
Mm.
stepping into yourself in a way that Georgia was talking about, like I can help myself with this, and I find the community and I find the expert who
Mm.
went through it. What would you say was the biggest change for you? Like what shifted the most, where you were, that the one of those we pat ourselves at the back
Yes.
going, I did it.
Yeah, well, actually, I have a chapter about that, actually, about
What?
celebrating our wins,
Mm,
because they can be just little wins or they can be huge. And for me, what my biggest goal at one time was to wake up happy in the morning instead of waking up thinking, "Oh, okay, it's another day. I
mm,
can do this," but to actually wake up and be happy. And when I reached that, I think it took a while, and I suddenly thought, I've done it. I'm waking up happy, and that was huge. But
mm.
just for me, doing, after having been married for that long, um, I had to do a lot of things on my own that I'd
Yeah.
never done before.
Yes.
Things like I'd never taken the car to the garage. My ex did all of that sort of thing. So I never, my sister lives about 4.5 hours drive north of me in France.
Hmm.
And my ex was somebody who did all the driving. So I'd never driven there on my own. But oh my goodness, when I did that, I was just
Mm.
like, I got out the car and I felt like 10 feet tall. I was like, yes, I've done it.
You know what it reminds me? And it's lots of moms. It happens when we have kids and we kind of
Yeah,
lose the part of ourselves, become everything
yeah,
for everybody, but don't really
yeah,
feel that
yeah.
us on the higher level. And it's until you own to I am the source when it
Ah,
shifts. And when you're talking about everything
mm,
you said, it just brought me to the moment where I felt the decision I made where I said, okay, I am the source. I don't have to
yeah,
rely on anyone else. I have to make
yeah,
it work. That's
yes,
when I started thinking differently because sometimes we just rely on other people. It's like almost in the fairy tales, they'll tell us, wait for the prince who will come and rescue you. But in your
yeah.
life, you're actually your own prince. So you
But
better
I love
get
that.
over
That's
it.
so true. And actually, that has reminded me of something else I talk about in the book is I always used to feel that I needed validation from other people. So, to feel like I was a good mother, a good
Mm.
wife, and whatever I did in life, I needed validation. And I
Approval.
that is one of the biggest shifts for me is that I don't feel like that anymore. I know that what I do is good, that I add value. I just know that, and I don't need anybody else to tell me. And I think that's pretty much the biggest shift is my last chapter is called Falling in Love with Myself, which sounds
Love it.
rather narcissistic,
No, it's
but
perfect.
it's not. It brings the whole book together,
Mm.
and that's what I did. And I had a coach at the time, and he said to me, "You falling in love with yourself." And I thought at first, that's a bit
Mm.
weird, but actually, the more I realized that just makes me a better person.
Yes.
Loving myself makes me a better mother, a better friend, a better companion, partner, whatever. It just makes me a better person if I love
Amen
myself.
to that.
It's
It
like the
really
oxygen
is.
mask over your
Yeah.
face.
But
Yeah.
that's what I say in a plane. Put your
Yeah.
oxygen mask. If it falls down, put yours on and then help others.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
you don't have yourself sorted, you can't help others. I love that you're talking about it. And I love that, you pointed it out because that is something that everyone struggles with, whether they admit it or not.
Exactly.
Self-love is the
Yeah.
key to really going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it is
It
hard. And
is.
I'm going to say that lovingly. But the truth is, when I started those exercises, which you doing as well,
Mhm.
like the I love myself and stuff, it felt really weird.
Oh,
It felt
yeah.
selfish. It felt,
Yeah.
it's okay. I love everyone else. So I don't have to, like focusing.
Yeah.
And then I heard the quote saying, you can't give what you don't have. So if you don't fill your cup first, you can't water people
Yeah.
around them. You can't fuel
Yeah.
them. You can't. And that made me change the view to
Yeah.
sort of feel like, hold on a second. Like if people around you are flowers and you want to, it's really hot outside and they dry and you need to water them, unless your cup is full and the watering can, you can't water them. And you can
Yeah.
send them as much love as you want, but the water has to be filled first inside of us
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
because you
Because we
are
don't have
worthy.
anything to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is maybe, yeah, looking back, I think that's the biggest lesson I've
Mm.
learned and the biggest change
Yeah.
in me. Yeah, definitely. And I think I have two daughters. So right
Mm.
from the beginning, I wanted to show them. That was my main motivation before I sort of thought, well, I need to do it for myself, was I wanted to show my girls
Yes.
how how to be a strong woman and how we have this inner strength that we can draw on. Everybody has it. And how you can rebuild your life if you need to.
You
But
had the
we can
right
be,
why. You
yes,
had
I
the right
did.
why because
Yeah,
actually, when we have the right why, which for yours, and the truth is, we can tell our kids to do so many amazing things unless they're
yeah,
seeing us to do it. It's
no,
nothing. And
No.
this is where we need to understand they are paying so much attention to what we
Yes,
do, how we make
yes,
decisions, what are the things we're willing to go for, how we're risking,
yes.
how we're handling things, how we react to respond. And they become our little reminders because I was late and I was really frustrated one morning and I was like, oh, look at the traffic. And if you weren't late, and my daughter just sits at the back of the car, says, well, if you only imagine to be on the time, you will be. And like, you kind of go, yes, that's exactly what I teach.
Yes,
They become your best switch reminders because the
it's
minute
true. Yes,
shift you, it's like they literally shut your
it's
anchor
true.
down, going, yes,
Oh,
that's
yes,
true.
good reminder.
And then I pointed it out. I said, see, and if you get out of alignment like me, you can snap out of it quickly because this is
Yeah,
exactly when I went wrong. And see what happens? I
yeah,
rolled it. I
yeah.
wanted to leave out, and then I was and I'm moaning about the cars and saying we're sitting in the traffic. So I'm bringing more car traffic up on
Yes.
ourselves. So, and then, like you said, life is a game. And I love that you said that because it
Mm.
has to be fun. If we're not having fun
Oh,
and joy in things
yes.
we do, don't do them.
Yes. Well, I will tell you this. So last year, so I had my year of healing, and last year was my year to focus on my purpose. So the book was published, etc. So at the end of last year, I thought, do you know what? 2025 is going to be a year of fun. And I was, I need a year of fun. And so
Mm.
far, it's really fun. It's really good.
I love it. This is
Having a lot.
amazing.
Yes.
I chose the theme for this year to be a faith.
Ah, that's a good
Mm.
one. I like
But you
that.
know what? This is a good example actually for you guys, the audience. We each have to choose something that is really something we need on our journey. So you
Mhm.
even listening to us get inspired by think what is it that thing that helps you, or choose the theme for yourself. Like get inspired reading Georgia's book and really sit down and think and put down the things that you will do. And as she pointed out rightly, action you're going to take. Not
Yeah.
just sitting and looking at the boxes you've ordered, the ones I've mentioned in the office, and having the instructions, knowing how to put the cupboard on. The cupboard's not gonna build itself. And this, you are the cupboard. And if you know the lock, going through all her steps and the synergy game, the methods she created, you can unlock those little numbers and just really open the lock to yourself. It really is about applying the stuff you read, not just reading it and putting it in a shelf help.
Yes, definitely. I mean, yes, I want you all to buy my book, of course, but
Mm.
I really want it to be of lasting help, to
Mm.
have impact. That's what
Yeah.
my coach always says, that sales are great. It's great,
Mm.
great to sell loads of books, but actually, what's more important is the impact that book has.
I agree. And I
Yes.
really encourage you all to buy the book. Have a look at all the links. You can actually reach out to Georgia directly. I will put all the links and links on Amazon. I mean, it is on Amazon, right? And
Oh,
where else
yes.
can people get your book?
It's on all book selling websites. So wherever you are, it's on Waterstones in the UK, and what's the other one? Blackwell's, all those in the US, Barnes and Noble, Book Club, all the book selling websites.
Brilliant.
Or
And I will,
direct
yeah.
from me if you want a signed copy.
Fantastic. That's actually great
Yeah.
to know that there is an option that you can actually
Yeah.
order it from Georgia and have it signed.
Yeah.
And I really do encourage you to buy the book and think of a friend. Sometimes, we rush last minute to buy a birthday present or a present for someone. Think, is there someone who would really benefit from reading this and who's going through a challenge, and actually inspiring stories of people going through the same or very similar paths are the best presents, because that can be, like Georgia mentioned, it really happened to me as well. That little paragraph can change your life. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
sit on it,
Mm.
write it down, and go, oh my goodness, I can do this. It's just something that awakens in us that's been sitting there anyway, because you all have the power to do anything. So I
Mm.
do encourage you to get Georgia's book and write her. We authors love reviews, so write her a review. And let her know what you think about the book, what you loved or something that didn't sit with you, anything. Where really feedback is such a great part as well, because that helps us all to grow. Any final
Definitely.
thoughts for the audience, Georgia?
Well, I just think that anything that if you're going through anything or something resonates with you, take action. I think that that's one of the biggest things that I think came from this interview is that it's great to read and talk and all that, but everybody's action is going to be different. So, but also you don't have to let anything that's happened to you in your life define the rest of your life. You can make a change. You can change your story. Another chapter in the book is about that. You can change the story, not just that you tell other people, but the story you tell yourself. And you can rebuild your life from anything. Believe me, I've done it. So you don't have to be stuck in the past or feel like you don't know how to move forward because there's many people that have gone through what you're going through.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for being here with us, sharing
Thank
your
you.
amazing
It's a
story, and
pleasure.
actually allowing us to, know more about this method and system because it has so much power. It really does. And it will help so many people, I have no doubt, because we go all through challenges and it's really inspiring to learn from someone and someone who actually is waking up happy.
Yes, very happy.
Thank you so much for coming and being with us and really appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you asking me, Vladdy. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you.